Hello everyone, and we begin with some good news for Solana. That's right, Solana dApps volume has been up 46%. And this is despite the downturn caused in the market because Benjamin Netanyahu decided that he wanted to conquer all the lands of ancient Israel and reclaim his title as King of the United Kingdom. Not the UK, but the ancient United Kingdom of Israel. Now, despite that, Solana has blossomed. And a rise in dApp volume means more and more people are using the ecosystem, which will eventually result in more TVL, more DeFi activity, more trading volume, and a higher price. So that's very good news for Solana. Basically, however, according to dApp Radar, the most significant highlight in Solana's activity was dApp volumes, which increased by 46% compared to the previous 7-day period. In comparison, Ethereum dApps gained 12% over the same period. So you can see that Solana is gaining way more than Ethereum. Notably, Ethereum's gains were heavily dependent on Balancer, as its leading dApp Uniswap experienced a 6% decrease in volumes over the 7-day period. So Solana has seen significant activity, and unlike Ethereum, which was made on one or two dApps, the gains on Solana occurred across the board, with Marinade Finance up 66%, so you should pay attention to that one. Pump.fun getting 93%. Pump.fun is their crappy little meme coin pumper, so wouldn't really pay attention to that. And Solan jumping 143% over the last 7 days. Similarly, the number of active addresses engaging with smart contracts increased by 13% during the past week, driven by gains on the Jupiter exchange, which amassed over 2.77 million unique addresses. Based on current news flow and network activity, Sol's price appears to be poised to outperform the altcoin market. And Sol has actually been doing very, very well. Obviously, with their new phone coming up, people buying the phone, there's going to be more and more people jumping on the Solana ecosystem. And some asset managers like Van Eck do expect large gains in Solana because of its scalability, and more so because the popularity of its app ecosystem. Despite the fact that Solana has gone down several times in the past, I don't think that will really hamper Solana all that much because the retail investors probably didn't really care all that much. And of course, they also have some cool stuff with API utilizing Google Cloud architecture and supported by Solana Labs has been highlighted as a potential catalyst for increased demand on the network. But there is already increased demand on the network because you can see the dApp volume has gone way up, and the upcoming phone will do nothing except help that. They believe the recent growth in activity on the Solana network will eventually translate into higher demand for SOL. The network's total value that locked also increased 36.1 million SOL on September 30th, remaining essentially flat compared to the prior 2 weeks, but only 3% below its highest level in 2 years. So things are looking very, very good on Solana in terms of both dApp Radar and DeFi Llama. So keep your eyes peeled for SOL. Bitwise has filed an XRP ETF. Well, they've kind of incorporated the entity in Delaware, in the state of Delaware Division website, but they haven't actually filed the actual papers with the ETF yet. As many people have reported, the filing in Delaware does not necessarily mean that a registration application with the SEC is imminent. So basically what the timeline is for these ETFs is that you have to file the paperwork with the SEC, and it takes roughly 8 months from the time you file with the SEC to whether they reject or accept it. But I think since the judge ruled XRP is not a security, they would almost have to accept it because they don't really have a reason to reject it. Also, with the election coming up, Bitwise might actually be holding off to see who wins the election, to see if Gary Gensler is still there, and to see if Gary Gensler actually appeals or not. That deadline for Gary Gensler's appeal is coming up, and it is October 7th. I think if Gensler does not appeal, they'll probably go ahead and file it, but if Gensler does appeal, they might win until the election. Of course, Brad Garlinghouse has already stated that it's inevitable with an XRP ETF, but I'm actually not certain that there would actually be interest in any kind of altcoin ETF due to the unpopularity of the Ethereum ETF. Remember, Ethereum ETF's volume has been, I think, roughly a tenth of Bitcoin's volume at this point. And I think the other ETFs would actually fare worse. I think that's one of the reasons that the Solana ETF was withdrawn, because they figured that there's not enough people with interest in the ETF. I don't think XRP ETF would actually do any better. But this filing is actually real. Well, it's not necessarily a filing yet, but it's like a registered agent information type of thing. When they file with the SEC, I do actually think it might cause somewhat of a price pump. I mean, XRP has gotten a bit of a pump because of RLUSD recently, but the whole ETF thing hasn't really come into play yet. Now, there has been a lot more open interest on XRP because of the RLUSD stablecoin. People are excited about this test. And it says like recent activities include minting significant amounts of RLUSD. They minted like 99% of the supply, suggesting the testing phase might be wrapping up or moving into a more active phase of development. So I actually don't think RLUSD is necessarily good for XRP. I do actually think it's eventually going to replace XRP in the ODL ecosystem, because right now, once again, in the United States, they're having to use Tether instead of XRP for transactions that involve the US dollar, and they would rather use a stablecoin rather than Tether, so they're probably going to substitute RLUSD eventually in place of Tether. But bets on XRP futures grew to over 1 billion over the weekend, a level last seen in March and June last year, which, March was when things were getting really, really exciting for crypto, and it kind of like died over the winter. So basically the open interest in XRP is up due to the RLUSD stuff, and people hoping that eventually takes over cross-border transactions. So that actually refers to the total number of outstanding derivative contracts not settled for an asset. An increase in open interest and a price increase typically indicate that new money is coming into the market. So the price increase essentially happened over the weekend as well, and it only pumped, I think, roughly like 10% or so, but that was enough to get some people excited. But the increase in open interest means there's actually more people placing bets on XRP. But on Monday, Ripple did actually say that RLUSD remains in private beta on XRP Ledger and Ethereum blockchain. It warned of scams using the stablecoin as bait. So don't really trust any of that stuff until Ripple makes an announcement itself. There is a new hot project that actually has managed to break into the top 100. I actually thought it would actually break a lot higher than this, but it is actually Eigenlayer. And Eigen has cracked top 100 market rank in trading debut. Eigenlayer's native token unlocked at 5 a.m. UTC on October 1st and has been trading at just under $4 a token, or around a 6.5 billion fully diluted value. Obviously 6.5 is way above top 100, but it's not fully diluted yet. So basically, the native token is Eigen. I do think this is like the double staking thing, or liquid staking thing. I forgot which one. It cracked the top 100 tokens by market capitalization after commencing trading on October 1st. The token unlocked and has been trading between 350 and 450. Eigenlayer has actually received a good amount of hype, so I do expect a lot of people to be putting plays on it at this point. So its price aligns with implied spot prices on derivative exchanges and over-the-counter trading before launch. So there wasn't any big surprise. It kind of fell in line right there. So Eigen is in the 90s in terms of ranking, but it is lower than Optimism, Uniswap, Filecoin, but more than Athena. Now, I would actually think Eigenlayer would actually eventually crawl into the top 50, because I think there's been a lot of hype manufactured about Eigenlayer, and I don't really see it like staying in the 90s. So it might actually be a good value to actually pick up right now. That's once again Ethereum Eigenlayer, kind of like a staking, restaking type of protocol, and I think it should be fairly popular. So token holders stand to benefit as more protocols start paying Eigenlayer's restakers who deposit tokens including Eigen as collateral to secure other networks or actively validate services in Eigenlayer's parlance. According to DeFi Llama, as of September 30th, Eigenlayer commanded nearly $12 billion in total value locked, or TVL. In August, EigenDA, Eigenlayer's affiliated AVS, started paying restakers in Ether and Eigen rewards. Other AVS, include ARPA Network, are following suit. So Eigenlayer is actually growing, and I think it probably will reach top 50 sooner rather than later. So it might actually be a good time to actually buy some of this new project. I'm pretty sure it's not a scam. People have been talking about this for a while, but the coin essentially just came out. It debuted top 100, but it didn't quite debut as high as I thought it would debut. I thought like this whole restaking thing was much more widely known, and it would debuted like maybe in like the 40s, 50s area. So that's a little bit disappointing, but not too bad if you're a buyer because that gives you more room to grow. But remember, the fully diluted market cap is 6.5 billion, which is fairly high. And people, we got to talk about, will we have to wait until November to get a true bull run? And yeah, maybe we will, because remember the whole Israel-Palestine thing? I've been saying this before and I'll say it again. I do think Netanyahu is timing this in October because, once again, he wants Trump to be president. Trump is seen as much more pro-Israel and giving Netanyahu a lot more support to basically finish off Palestine and destroy Hezbollah than Biden and Harris will. Yes, they're both pro-Israel, but one is just more pro-Israel than the other. See, the thing is, like, if you're pro-Palestinian, you're going to lose regardless of who wins the election. There is no winning for you, unfortunately. That's just the way American politics are. You will not find a pro-Palestinian candidate for president from a major party. But it's like Mortal Kombat. You're fighting, you're going to lose. But see, the Harris administration would prefer a friendship after you lose, whereas the Trump administration might prefer a fatality if you lose. So that's kind of like what you're choosing between the lose friendship or the lose fatality, more or less. So take your pick. You can actually basically vote for third party as well. I believe the Green Party is actually pro-Palestine, but they're not really going to win and they don't really have a chance. So you kind of like have your pick at this moment. Like I said, Benjamin Netanyahu I think he planned this October surprise specifically in October because the party in power, the party that has the White House, will always get blamed for something that happens right before the election. So he's probably trying to take the poll numbers down for Harris and elevate Trump's chances of winning. Remember Alan Lichtman, the guy that's predicted like 9 out of 10 elections? I think he missed the Bush-Gore one. That was the closest one we've ever had in our country. He actually predicted Harris with his keys because, the Democratic Party only lost like 3 or 4 keys, and you have to lose less than 6. Right now, I think that with the Israel thing, they've lost 4 keys. There's a lot of prediction models right there, but I do think this is well-timed from Netanyahu to basically plant an October surprise to help Trump get the presidency because he thinks Trump will help him deal a fatal blow to either Gaza and Palestine and Hezbollah as well, maybe even Iran. So that's where we stand on that. And of course, HBAR is gaining more institutional support because digital asset investment firm Canary has launched a Canary HBAR trust in the United States. Canary Capital has launched an investment vehicle called Canary HBAR Trust in the U.S. to expose institutional investors to the token. The launch is part of Canary Fund's objective and to lay the foundation for future HBAR exchange-traded funds. The news follows Grayscale's recent action that launched the Grayscale XRP Trust to facilitate institutional capital into XRP. So it's kind of like that, but it is for HBAR. If people actually invest a lot into HBAR, this could affect HBAR's price much faster than bigger coins, but I'm not really sure how much money will flow into this fund and how quickly that will happen. Right now, it does not seem like institutional interest for other altcoins is really that high, but that might change with the bull run, and I think when the bull run happens, this might have a significant effect. So the Canary HBAR Trust will facilitate private offerings, exposing investors to HBAR in a secure manner. HBAR is the Hedera Network's native digital asset. The Hedera Network actively supports asset tokenization, Web3 deployment and application, and the issuance of NFTs. The trust fund will require individual investors to meet certain qualifications before being accepted. Canary funds open HBAR doors to institutional investors. So this is not for retail investors like you and me. It's for institutional, probably institutional investors and high net worth individuals. That's who's going to have access to this. But it's good for HBAR because any additional investment in your coin is going to be good for the coin, especially I believe with the Bitcoin bull run coming. So Canary Funds are developed by Stephen McClurg, a former co-founder and CIO of Valkyrie Funds. Valkyrie is an approved exchange-traded fund that issues the Valkyrie Bitcoin ETF listed on the NASDAQ exchange. So they're really trying to get HBAR into the hands of institutional investors. Like I said, I believe that's really good for HBAR. It needs some money flowing in. I still believe HBAR needs to work on its ecosystem more than anything else, but it's another good piece of news and probably raises the floor and perhaps the ceiling as well for HBAR. But I would bet it probably raises the floor more than anything else because the ceiling is really going to be determined by your TVL, your DeFi, and other things. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.